My name is Dan Coonan. I'm commissioner of the ECAC, and that includes ECAC Esports. And this is another edition of ECAC Esports Unveiled. And I'm thrilled today to have John Schwarte and Nick Sutton with us from Wayne State College in Nebraska. The ECAC is a 85-year-old organization. It's for 80 years. It was more Northeast than anything else. New England, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and maybe getting a little further down into Virginia and all, and maybe as far west as Ohio. But we've gone national for esports. And Wayne State is a great example of that, because with what we've done in esports in 3 years, we now have 100 schools. We're going to have 350 teams competing in 10 games and 2,500 competitors. And it goes all the way to California. It's no longer just a Northeast thing. And Wayne State's a great example of that, because they came in and won the Commissioner's Cup for fall esports. So I just want to start by congratulating you guys, just coming in and owning it. And for those that don't know, that the Commissioner's Cup is given to the best across the board program. So not necessarily one that wins one event and crushes everybody, but places in across the board and has a broad-based esports program. And these guys were able to do it. Their own organization is in embryonic stages. They just got this thing started. So let me start real quickly. If John and Nick, just introduce yourselves and how you came to be at Wayne State in this esports organization that you've got. And John, I'll start with you.
So I'm John Schwarte. I graduated from the University of Northern Iowa, and I had a background in club sports. I played rugby all through college. And when I was job searching, Wayne State popped up. They were just kind of in the transition of making club sports more organized. They had club sports on campus, but no one that really oversee it. So when I got this job, I first started out with intramurals while we were transitioning club sports over. And we had 7 club sports, and we're now up to 11, I think. And then the big topic was esports. And being in the athletic department, I played Xbox casually throughout my entire life. So I don't have a ton of gaming experience, but I had the most experience in the department. So when we started this, it's kind of just, hey, take it and run kind of thing. So I was fortunate enough to be granted a graduate assistant, which is Nick, who has far more experience and knowledge in esports than I, and I'll turn it over to him.
My name is Nick.
Thank you, John.
And I'm the esports coordinator at Wayne State College. I've been gaming my entire life, mostly on console, but in college, where I did my undergrad at Radford University, I started the esports club there. And then that's where I got into collegiate Rocket League. I started playing as a collegiate competitor, moved into the semi-professional leagues, and was contracted to a few teams. But that overall is where I got my esports experience, managing teams, doing all the scheduling, signing up for different leagues. Our student organization was the largest in the History's campus, largest student-run organization, anyways, in the History's campus. And we had over 300 students, multiple teams going. So I really enjoyed that experience, and gaining all of that provided me with what I needed to get this job at Wayne State College. And luckily I found John, and it was just great. It's been great ever since.
John, did you list that job, and did you go national, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I posted it on Bluefish Jobs, but Nick found it on some other website that apparently pulls from all these other like job listings.
Yeah, hitmarkerjobs.com basically pulls up any esports jobs that you could possibly be looking for. So, coaching jobs, director jobs, social media, graphic design, everything related to esports is on that website.
And John, did you get a ton of interest?
I had about 6 applications, but none with the experience that he had. A lot of them were more, they were in a bigger intramural program that they were coordinating and, managing. And there are a couple that were already here in Wayne that game, but didn't have any like esports building, like an organization. They didn't have anything that was spectacular and like set apart from everyone else. And Nick was actually the first applicant to apply, and then I didn't really care about the rest because his was exactly what I wanted. So
yeah. That's great. Good for you guys. I want to talk about the fall. Let's just focus on what we were able to do within the ECAC to win that and be as successful across the board as you were. And either one of you could answer.
I'll just kind of talk about what our preview was and kind of what our goal was before we started this program was. We honestly just expected about 25 kids. You know, we knew there was some interest, but we didn't know what we have now. We had no clue. So when we joined the ECAC, we're like, okay, let's just get them in and let's play a couple of, let's get them in leagues. Let's let them play and kind of see how it goes. We didn't have super high expectations. We just wanted to build this club and, let them have some fun. And then we turned out that we had just an intense player pool and, we had really good success, but Nick can break it down, the nitty gritty stuff. So
I always say you never know what you're going to get with esports because there's so much talent that can be hidden that you don't know about until you start a program, right? To pull those students out of their dorms and into a competitive scene. And when I was first starting tryouts, I knew instantly watching these players that we were going to have competitive teams this season. And they really just showed up with this incredible talent. And a lot of them, for a lot of them, this was new. They'd never played in any sort of competitive scene, competitive league, anything collegiate. They've just been gamers on their own their whole lives. So giving them this outlet through the ECAC has been amazing for them. They've all loved the experience, and to have such a great season is very motivating for everyone. So there's a fire burning here in this arena, and everyone's looking to do better, even better next season. So
how did you communicate with them to get them to come out for the tryouts? As a brand new program without anything established, how do you go from 0 to 60 like that?
So back in last spring is when we have formally announced that we are building this arena, and we promoted what we're putting into it. We spent $100,000. Half of that was just for our PCs and all of our peripherals and everything like that. But so we promoted how state of the art this thing was going to be. It was going to be just this fantastic high powered PCs. It's going to have the whole 9 yards, and it's exclusive to those athletes. So that gives them a little bit of pride in wanting to try out. And we spent a pretty good chunk of money just promoting it on social media and all across campus, just so it kind of forces people to be aware. Not all the time they'll see a normal social media post, but when you spend some money to basically spam it across the campus, that's kind of how we made it work. And before we started tryouts, we had over 100 students that wanted to try out, which is just insane.
And that's out of less than 4,000 at the college, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's quite a response. Holy cow! And so you had tryouts. Did you whittle it down? Did you have cuts? Did everybody make something? How'd you figure that out?
Yeah, we definitely needed to have cuts. There's so many students, that were interested, but we are trying to engage that casual player base as well for the players that were, cut from the program. But we're doing other things, like we started a Minecraft server. We're trying to rebuild campus to keep those students engaged with our program as well.
Yeah, that's great. So how many are on your total esports roster?
It's between like 40 and 50. This season we have 13 different teams. Last season we had 11.
And over how many games did you participate?
7
games. Okay, all right. And I know you made playoffs in quite a few of those.
Yes.
That's terrific. How'd you come to the ECAC?
I had heard about it originally. It's one of those leading esports leagues, especially for the collegiate scene. ECAC, NACE, there was a couple different decisions, but I think ultimately John was already leaning towards ECAC by the time I got here.
Yeah, the big part was that you guys have unlimited roster spots. We could have 12 teams if we wanted to.
Right. Right.
And if we had a bigger arena, if we knew it was going to, take off the way it did, if we had 24 PCs instead of 12, we'd probably have, 5 or 6 teams in each thing. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunate we had to make those cuts because of our time constraints, and our limited PCs.
That's great to hear. Yeah, because we wanted to enable schools, especially schools that are just getting started, to have as many folks participate as they wanted. And so for each of our games, you can enter as many teams as you want. And so you can, some schools tier it, and they have an A team, B team, C team, D. A lot of our competitions we have Swiss scheduling, so you kind of gravitate. If you're really competitive, you gravitate toward the more competitive teams. If you're just entry level and you don't have that D team or C team is not as good, they'll play other competition like themselves. So we did that on purpose, and it's good to hear that sort of thing resonates. We know it has with so many folks. And have you been happy with your ECAC experience?
Oh yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. We appreciate it. And we talked about this before we got on the call a little bit, John. I've seen just in my time, I came back here 4 years ago, and we started this 3.5 years ago. And and initially our board of directors, there was a lot of naysayers, but they're like, okay, if you want to go ahead, if you want, but there are a few that thought, my gosh, this could be something big. And some of the presidents of our schools thought it could be something big, but you get a variety of opinions on it. What was the feeling like? Obviously, at when you started it, someone, your president or someone, decided, we're going to do this, and we're going to devote this time and the money to it, and build what you guys are building. But is the jury still out on that, or has the success you've had in 1 year already been kind of a stamp of approval that, my gosh, this was a good thing to do? Or where are you at with respect to feedback and the view of it now?
So I'll say this first. Our president is just a wonderful human. She's always pushing for bigger and better. And when this esports topic came up, I wrote a proposal, and I said, hey, this is kind of what the scene's looking like. Here's the viewerships from, I pulled the League of Legends from 2017 World Championships, where they had more viewers than the MLB, NBA, and NHL combined. Like, the viewership's just insane with esports. So the popularity's there. We just have to build it, and they will come. But yeah, I wrote a proposal, and I had all these stats and stuff, and a bunch of different games where we could play. And yeah, I mean, I wrote it up, and I told her this is going to be huge for our campus, because we're the only one within 300 miles that's a public school that's as cheap as we are that will have a full-fledged esports program. And she said yes.
Wow.
And it may have seemed easier. Like, the yes probably came easier than what it actually was. I don't sit in all those conversations, but they said, yeah, let's take the gamble. Let's spend $100K and let's build this thing and see how it goes. And now I'm already pushing to double the size of it, because we need it.
And can they see tangible benefits? With so many of our schools, we have some schools that say, literally, there's nothing they've ever done as a university that has exceeded the type of exposure and bounce that they've gotten out of their esports program, which is really remarkable. No program, no building, no anything they've ever done, which is just,
that's insane.
It is insane.
Yeah.
And then, so you have those schools, then you have other schools that maybe don't have that success, but they still say, oh my gosh, on new student night, for recruited students, for high school students that are coming, just checking out the university, if they put a table out there with their esports competitors, it's by far the most packed table of any of the, they've got the history department and everything else. And they're seeing a jump in enrollment because of what they've done. Has Wayne State seen tangible benefits of that sort?
We haven't yet, since this is our first year, but it's coming. We've been talking to high school students. There's a Nebraska Esports High School Association, and they're coming. It hasn't happened yet because we haven't been able to recruit, but we have, 14, Nick? 14 students.
12 to 14 students interested in coming for esports.
Yeah, so I mean, we're on that, we're right on the edge, and before we can expand or do anything like that, we have to prove that we're going to bring in an X amount of students every year. But it's coming. We just have to wait.
What other vision do you have for it? What other goals? What are you looking to do maybe this semester and next year that you didn't do last semester?
I would say really focus on, the on-campus stuff. I know COVID has been, detrimental to having any in-person tournaments, but we really want to look into. We're trying to host the high school finals here at Wayne State in our arena and everything. So we're looking to host more on-campus events, involve our community more. We want to engage all of those, the casual player base. They can interact with our players, stuff like that. We want to expand in that direction as well, and we want to host intercollegiate tournaments. That's what we're really looking to do. So hopefully we get a chance to do that at the end of this season when the high school finals come up. But when it comes to the ECAC season, I'm looking for championship trophies. I mean, these players are determined. When they come in here, they want to win. And
That's
so, as long as we're doing that, I think we have a good shot at all of them.
That's great. That is awesome. And what I love, coming from the traditional sports world, what I love is we have all of our fall leagues, and then we run them again in the spring. So you can be a champion in the fall in the very same league. You can be a champion in the spring, and we'll do another Commissioner's Cup, of course, in the spring as well, which is the beauty of it. Speaking of traditional sports, I know, John, you have a rugby background. Can you tell me what you observed? So much of why I think athletics has traditionally been married with higher education, and I think it comes from Oxford and Cambridge and the rowing, centuries ago, but clearly, especially in America, there's this notion of lessons you learn in participating in sports, and it's an educational process. So you have that whole aspect of why it's connected. You also have how sports and athletics through the years has really enhanced the character of a university. You look at some of our universities, and you think immediately of certain athletic teams that have been significant through time. Coming from the rugby world and all, can you talk about any of that you see about it, whether it's life lessons or it's university spirit or mission or anything else that connects the two and makes this a nice match?
Yeah, I mean, club sports is hard, just because it's ebb and flow generally. So when I went to Northern Iowa, I knew they had a pretty solid rugby program. There was a guy from my high school that was probably 8 years older than me that played rugby there. So I was like, well, shoot, I want to learn this sport. Let's give it a go. And turns out we're a top 10 team every year in D2. So there is that pride in the school. And we recruited that way. And yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I took away from club sports, I was an athlete all the way through high school and I love to compete. But, building a club takes work. And that's the experience that I mainly took away. That's why I'm sitting in this chair today, is because of my club sports background. So not only do you get to compete in that sport that you love, you also learn leadership roles. You learn to organize and, set up events, kind of like what Nick's talking about with these on-site stuff. But I mean, we are nationally recognized and people in the area knew how good we were. So, I mean, it helped with our recruiting standpoint. But I mean, just to tie esports into this thing, we're promoting this thing like crazy. And there's not a day where we're not getting, a ping or an email saying, hey, can you tell us more about your program? Hey, I didn't know we had tryouts. Can you tell us about if I can still try out? Like there's all this talk on campus and it's blowing up right now. And actually I'm taking master's classes right now. And my big paper is, the differences between traditional sports and esports athletes. And we're taking, the mentality of esports and the physicality of traditional sports. And we're trying to make this blend to show people that like esports is a sport, like it takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of hard work and determination to succeed. And it's the same thing, whether you're at football practice or esports practice.
Yeah. And a lot of the individuals are learning how to be part of a team. Mm-hmm. There's that aspect as well. Absolutely. I'd love to see that when you finish it. I'd like if you don't mind sending it over.
Sure.
That'd be great to see. Well, that's terrific. You know, we really appreciate you guys being part of this, and I just love that you stepped right in and took our Commissioner's Cup right away. That's impressive. And with every passing month, just like you guys are getting more pings and more communication from people who want to be part of it, we get more and more from universities and colleges all over that want to be a part of it. And this is just such a great story, that because some of them are intimidated that, oh my gosh, others have been doing this for 4, 5, 6 years. How can we step in and be anything? And oh my God, look what you guys did for, and let's face it, that's a small school, 4,000 students. And it's not like you recruited people to come in. You just went out and found it right there. And my guess is there's so many colleges across America that have, hidden talent right there. It's just a matter of bringing it out like you guys were able to do.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we just kind of didn't really expect much going in. We just wanted to start the club, get them competing, and let's have some fun. And next thing we know, we're in the finals in 2 of the 7 games that we played in.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have any advice for other schools that were in a position where you were a year ago, or administrators, John, that are now having a president like yours looking at them and looking for advice to how to get rolling and how to put it all together?
Keep pressing on. The interest is there. It's always going to be there. Yeah, and you need to convince them. So if that's writing a proposal, talk about all these stats talk about all the stats of esports, and like the interest that is growing across America. Look at the market in esports, like that's booming too. So that's a direct correlation of the interest growing across America. So I sat down and it probably took me 6 months to write this proposal, but at the end, it was a no-brainer for our institution. Talk about the revenue aspect, the recruiting and bringing students onto campus, keeping them on campus because of the program. Send out a bunch of surveys to the students saying, hey, if we build this, are you interested? If the students are on board, there's no way administration can say no, because they're supposed to serve the students, and esports is the next big thing. And this is only the beginning. So get on board now before it's too late, before everyone else has an esports program,
Yeah. Nick, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunity that comes with esports for students specifically, because you talk about all the streaming that goes into it, the graphics design, the shoutcasting, all of that is experience. So if you bring an esports program to your campus, you can include all of that, as well as new academic studies are coming out on campuses. I know some universities are creating majors for esports. So yeah, this is definitely the next big thing, and I think anyone should jump on board if they have an idea of it.
Great. Well, we're thrilled to have you guys partnered with us. It's awesome. And just like you guys are just getting started, we're just getting started too. And we're listening to feedback from folks like yourselves and trying to make this thing better. But what your program looks like now and what it's going to look like in 5 years, I think mirrors kind of what ours looks like now and what the ECAC is going to look like in 5 years. But it's great to have you guys associated with us. I'm thrilled for your success. Thanks for your time today. But thanks for being involved.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And Josh, thanks for putting all this together. We appreciate it. This has been another edition of Esports Unveiled. Thanks a lot.